there, everybody. Welcome to Jason Explains Things, and welcome to the mountains. We have another awesome Chevy Colorado video for you today with my buddy Chris. Chris, what have we already actually done on your truck?
We have put in the GM Performance leveling kit with high angle upper control arms. So what this is going to do is it's going to get rid of the rake from the factory. It's going to give us a little bit more clearance to play with. The nice thing about this kit is that it has all the geometry correct, so you don't sacrifice any off-road performance or on-road handling.
We're gonna have a really detailed step-by-step how-to section of this video for you, but honestly, we're gonna be frank with you, you're gonna wanna watch it because the GM instructions that came with this kit were not very good.
They're kind of terrible,
they
honestly,
were.
and misleading, so
yes.
Stay tuned.
Yes, you're definitely gonna wanna watch that, and for the first time ever on this channel, thanks to Chris because he's generous, we have our first giveaway we're gonna be doing. So what are we gonna give away?
Yeah, so for all you Colorado guys, we are gonna be giving away a set of Victory 4x4 center console MOLLE panels. So it's driver and passenger side, they're really, really cool.
And in standard YouTube fashion, we're not gonna tell you how to win that until the very end of the video. So let's jump into that install. Then we're gonna come back and give a brief thoughts on the performance of everything since install and give away those MOLLE panels. All right, we're back at the shop. We're gonna get started on the ZR2 leveling kit. First, Chris, could you just give us an overview of what exactly we're swapping out today?
Sure, so GM does their kit a little bit differently than what I've seen in the past. Instead of one strut tower spacer, they use a smaller one, and then it looks like a coil spacer as well. So it's a little more involved. We're gonna be taking the front strut out, we're gonna be compressing the spring, putting a spacer on. It's a little bit more involved.
Not as easy as some.
No, I don't like to do easy things on my truck, Jason.
That is true. That's what I like to do.
There you go. Yeah. Look, it bolts on.
Oh, it's so easy, wow.
Also, what we're going to be doing is putting on new upper control arms. These are going to look very similar to the ones we pull out, but critically they're a higher angle. So they allow for more travel, for more articulation, and they keep the geometry correct when you're leveling the truck.
Right on that note, let's go take a closer look at those parts.
Sounds good.
All right.
We have the strut spacers, the coil spacers. So these are new. I haven't worked on these before. We got our random nuts and bolts. We have our upper control arms. These are the new high angle ones. And critically, we have a badge.
It says performance on it.
Because if it doesn't say performance, tagline, it's not performance. I don't know.
Something like that.
But here they all are. We're going to put them in.
Thank you, Chris, for showing the parts. So we're going to be doing the passenger side first off camera, so we do everything wrong and break our knuckles and everything off camera so we look really cool for you guys on the driver's side. But before we get started, let's do a before measurement. GM says that this kit will raise the front by 1.25 inches. So currently we're sitting at 36 and a quarter. 36 and a quarter.
37 and a half.
37 and a half. Okay, so hopefully when we're all done, be 37 and a half. Let's get started.
Many minutes later.
Well, for some reason, Chris, your truck's suspension was muddy. You have no knowledge of why. So we sprayed everything with Simple Green. We were going to clean everything before we work on it. While we wait for that to kind of soak a little bit, let's briefly talk about tools. So most of the stuff that we worked with on side 1 and for side 2 is all metric. You're going to need a variety of different flavors of different sockets, though. You're going to need 1/2 inch. You're going to need 3/8. Also, I highly recommend ratcheting wrenches. I just picked these up and they saved us, especially the top nuts for the shock. You really want ratcheting wrenches there, otherwise you're gonna have a bad time.
First of all, look straight ahead when you ski. If you look down, you're gonna fall. You're gonna have a bad time.
Also, you're gonna need large torque wrenches because we have some higher things like up to 140 foot-pounds, and you're gonna need smaller torque wrenches. Also, other good things to have: brake cleaner, WD-40, we're gonna have some Loctite, also some anti-seize. You're gonna need spring compressors. You're gonna have to disassemble your coilover, so we're gonna use that. We'll get to that in a little bit. Mallets, hammers, other things. The instructions do not give any like wrench or socket sizes for anything, but we're going to have in the corner a little graphic saying what different socket sizes are, so you can follow along and know what sizes everything is. So cool. Hey there folks, if you'd like some written notes based on our install, head on over to my website, jasonexplainsthings.com. I'll have a blog post that'll give you tons of helpful tips. Hey, maybe even buy a sticker while you're there. All right, cheers. Let's start disassembly. Remove the front stabilizer lead. You'll need a 15mm socket for the top and a 13mm for the bottom. Next, disconnect the ABS line bracket with a 10mm socket. All right, here come some of those bonus instructions. So GM does not tell you to do this, but both Chris and I highly recommend that you completely loosen and detach the sway bar bracket right here, which is two 10mm bolts. The DSSV shock is kind of huge, and to get it out there without damaging anything, especially your CV boot, is very hard. So if you detach this, you have plenty of room. So yeah, as you can see, now you can go all the way over there. So, because this has to come out like that. So you're gonna be happy you did that. The sway bar bracket bolts are different lengths. Later on, make sure the short bolt is towards the front and the long bolt is towards the cab. These bolts were pretty rusty for only being a year old, so we cleaned them with WD-40. Next, support the lower arm with a floor jack. Then remove the outer tie rod nut with a 21mm deep socket. Remove the 18mm nut securing the upper ball joint to the knuckle. FYI, your kit comes with a new nut so you can toss the old one. Keeping the lower arm supported, disconnect the upper arm from the knuckle with a hammer or mallet. Going well, what do we do next?
So now that we have the upper control arm released from the knuckle, we are going to start loosening the shock. So we are doing this in the exact opposite way than the GM instructions show. They actually show removing the upper first and then pulling out the shock. That's ridiculous.
That makes no sense. To remove the coilover, first remove the two 15mm bolts at the base. Then with a ratcheting wrench, remove the three 18mm nuts from the top. Put your chin on your truck and get it.
Ha! Success.
Cover up your CV boot to protect it, then lower the lower A-arm and remove the coilover. Oh, that is so much easier than the first side. Oh my gosh.
Disgustingly easier.
Oh.
I'm upset.
With the shock out of the way, now remove the upper A-arm with 21mm sockets inside and out. Yeah! All right, we are totally apart. It's time to disassemble our coilover. So, taking a coilover, I've shown this on the channel already probably a couple times. Not very hard. People make it out to be a big deal, but it's as long as you do it carefully and take your time and have the right tools, it's not a big deal. But I say that, but this is actually probably on the driver's side. This was probably the most difficult coilover I've ever taken apart because this the spring, first off, is a very, very heavy-duty spring, and also the way this is so tightly wound, it makes it very difficult to put a standard spring compressor in here. First off, you want two spring compressors as parallel as possible, one side here, compress as evenly as possible, a little bit on one side, a little bit on the other, until you have some daylight right here, so you can kind of tell that the tension is off, and then you just take off this top nut, take it off, we're gonna put the spacer in and then put it back together. So Chris, why don't you show us how we got this thing apart last time?
Because the spring is so close and so tightly sprung, we are having to start at the very top. There's a little bit of a gap on this particular strut where we can go in there and we can kind of weasel it through. And we're going to cut to me getting past this. We just spin it down. Couldn't be any easier. This is the easiest thing you've ever done. Okay, so the top plate on this, as you can see, is not symmetrical. We have kind of a flat outer section here. It's labeled. So I think for placement, we're going to go right behind these two strut bolts.
Oh.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. I could feel it.
I'd call it there. Boom.
So the bottom part of the spacer, it's all molded so you can kind of see where it goes. We're gonna feed this back on to the top of the spring. A lot of times this you want to have pushed in flush But if we look, there's actually a gap there that you can see. So we actually don't want it to have it flush, or it'll throw off kind of the alignment of how the whole shock assembly works. We're gonna line that up to the dirt marks, so you know exactly where it is. Got it dirty for a reason. Now we're gonna put the top cap on. Again, you have one kind of flat side. It's all labeled pretty clearly, so it should line up.
Awesome. Our coilover is now assembled. We can take the spring compressors off and put everything back together. Awesome. So last thing is this goes on the top, right?
Yeah, the second half of the spacer, again, lines up. You have one flat side on top there. Line it up with where it says. And we put it back in.
Let's button it up. Get after it.
Just a bit outside.
Hey-o. Install your new upper control arm with the new hardware. I'm using orange thread locker here and pretty much everywhere else too. Tighten it down, but don't torque the bolts until everything is assembled later to be able to simulate being under load. Next, install the coilover with the new 15mm top nuts and bottom bolts. We use thread locker here as well. Torque the top nuts to 43 foot-pounds and the bottom bolts to 37 foot-pounds. Insert the upper ball joint into the knuckle. Torque the new nut to 37 foot-pounds. Then tighten an additional 90 degrees. This whole torque plus 90 degrees thing is kind of weird.
Weird thing.
My GTI had the same thing.
I feel like you just do other math and make it work better, but it's fine.
Whatever. Insert the tie rod back into the knuckle. Apply thread locker, tighten the bolt, then torque to 26 foot-pounds. Then tighten an additional 90 degrees.
There we go.
Too much anti-seize on one bolt, just roll it onto the next one. Wah. Okay, putting the sway bar bracket on. You got two bolts, they're different lengths. The longer one goes towards the cab and the shorter one goes towards the front. Apply anti-seize and then torque your sway bar bracket bolts to 37 foot-pounds. Install your stabilizer link and torque to 22 foot-pounds. Last step, raise the assembly with your floor jack to simulate being under load. Torque the upper A-arm bolts to 118 foot-pounds. This part is pretty awkward and lame, so good luck.
Oh, nicely done.
Yeah! Success.
Really important, don't forget to reattach your ABS line bracket. Well, let's measure the gap and see if it is the measurement, which I think was going to be 37 and a half.
About 37 and a half.
Right.
What we're looking for.
It's supposed to be 1.25 inches, but it looks like we have 2.25 inches. Well, we have exactly perfect light here up in the mountains all of a sudden, so we're gonna try to do this in one take. But it's been a couple weeks since we did the install, and how's it been, man?
It's been really good. So initially, right after we did it, we got about 2 inches of lift. We expected that to settle, and it has, with having the alignment done and driving on it for about a week and a half or so.
Yep.
It's back down to where it was advertised, and we measured it all out. We'll show you. More importantly for me is driving dynamics, and they're virtually identical, which is what was advertised, so I'm really happy with that. I've had it primarily on road since we got it done, just because we haven't had time to get up here.
Nope.
I mean, it feels the same off-road as it did before too, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm very happy with it.
Well, it looks very, very cool. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that install, but we have an awesome giveaway for you today, thanks to the generosity of Chris. Chris, I'm gonna have you show what we're gonna be giving away to our lovely viewers. What are we giving away, dude?
All right. So we have got a pair of really cool Victory 4x4 center console MOLLE panels, driver and passenger side for the Colorado, anything 2015 and up.
And no matter what trim, right?
No matter what trim.
Yeah.
It's all the same on the inside.
Cool.
Now, we are not sponsored by Victory 4x4. I actually bought these for my truck. Ended up deciding to go another route, never installed them. These are right from the factory. So we're gonna give them away to you guys because we like you.
What are the rules, Chris?
The rules. So the rules are, first of all, own a Colorado.
That would be good.
So you can put them on your Colorado. That's the idea.
And not sell them on eBay.
Jason prefers that you subscribe to his channel. Be a
I
subscriber.
would. I really would.
And then we have our Instagrams. I'm sure you're gonna have them below. If you want to follow them, that'd be awesome. We're not gonna check, but Scout's on them.
Yeah.
And to enter
yes.
on this video, you want to comment down below with the hashtag OverlandDIY.
Yep.
And then just for funsies, to prove your Colorado owners.
Yes.
Tell us about your favorite trip in your Colorado. What's your favorite thing to do? All that good stuff. So yeah, we're gonna be looking for the hashtag Overland DIY. We're gonna pick from those comments.
Yep.
In about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So yeah, have fun. And listen, Jason doesn't want to admit it, but it's a relatively small channel, so your odds of winning are really good.
It's really true. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. I think it'll be fun.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We're going to have more details about that giveaway and all the parts and tools we used in the description below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing bells and smashing like buttons and all that good stuff. Check out the Overland DIY playlist for more Colorado videos and videos about my Toyota 4Runner. So until next time, everyone, God bless, and
Don't forget to do it yourself.
ha! Except alignments, probably, right? You don't want to do those.
Nope.
Nice.